Okay, I've got all my gear laid out. I'm going to put a dirt hole set right by that rock. I'm going to start off by taking my trap that's waxed heavily. That's the reason it looks like it shines some. I'm going to clean out under the pan where the notch is because of all the wax. Clean off the dog. Make sure the pan is fairly loose but doesn't go side to side any. I've already got extra dirt, so I only have to get up and down once. Put some insulation under the pan to keep dirt from getting under there, working under there if it rains or something. Got double swivels on my traps because these coyotes tend to fight around quite a bit trying to get loose. This is the loose jaw of the trap, and that's the one I'm going to put something under so that I can make it stable at some point during the time here. I like my pan to be level with the jaws or just a little below and with a pretty light set. Generally, first thing I'll do is make a bait hole. In this case, I'm going to use this rock as my backing. Makes it hard for the coyotes to dig it out. Waller it out best I can. Make it a little bit bigger. They tend to close up when moisture gets to them. And I want it to stay open so they can smell the lure that I put in there. I'm going to want the trap to sit like this with the dog back here and the loose jaw here. My hope is that they will step between the jaws this way, but I'd rather step over this than to step on that dog, and then when it goes off it throws their foot off. So I'm counting on them coming in like this somehow. I really want this to be about 6 inches back for a fox and about 8 inches back for a coyote. I think I'll actually turn it this way because I suspect they're going to come from this direction. It's always good if you set them pretty much the same way every time, because then you don't have to think about it much. Alright, see that's 6 inches back from the hole, so that's about 7 inches. We'll go with that. Now my plan is to drive 2 stakes in the ground, 24 inches of 1/2-inch rebar, because coyotes are pretty powerful. I'm going to put one straight under this loose jaw so that I can rest the head of it, or the loose jaw, on the head of the stake, hopefully. If I can't get 2 down, I'll just live with 1 stake. As you can see, it's going down quite readily, which means it could come up quite readily. I use these loops that I make myself out of 3/32 aircraft cable when I double stake. It's probably best if you'll go with a commercial product for double stakes. I like these because that way I can change out my trap if it gets dirty or fouled. And this gives me another swivel point. Alright, now the next stake, I'm going to put it in an angle like that so that it's not straight up and down with the other one. So if they're jumping up and down, they're fighting against the angle stake. not going to go in that way. So we'll try it this way at an angle. See if we hit the same rock. Before I get it all the way down, slip the other end of the loop over it. Tighten it up. I usually bend it back a little so it doesn't tend to kick off on me. Cable can be a problem sometimes in that it wants to stick up. That's the reason I suggest you use the double stakes that they sell, stake holders. Alright. I gotta get this one to go down deep enough I can hide my cable. And I tend to be hard on my equipment. Beat on it if it needs to be beat on. Okay. My stake is still a little high for the loose jaw, which will be right there. That's still all a little too high to really to suit me. I think I'll take just a little more dirt out. Down a little deeper. Really want the trap, the pan and the trap set just a little bit lower than the surrounding ground. You don't want them stepping up on top of a mound. Although they will do that sometimes, I find it best if you don't make them do that. Alright. Now if it's going to be really cold out, which it is for the next few days, I'm going to go and put some salt in the very bottom of this set. Then I'll use more as I go. You see this dirt doesn't match, but it's going to be covered anyway with other dirt, so it's just good. I uncover the jaws a little bit so I can see where they are. And I start packing. Pack under the levers, under the jaw, and the back. Pack in the middle of the levers. Pack as hard as you can. You can see I'm shoving dirt down pretty hard here. Then you want to get inside the jaws and do the same thing. Make it where I can see the pan. And I'm going to get in there. Stay away from that pan. I'll pack under the levers as hard as I can everywhere. And you can see it starting to get solid. Still a little tip to it. That jaw's good. That one's good. A little bit right over here, so I'll pack under that lever a little more. Now we're getting there. Now nothing's moving. Nothing will move except for the pan. The idea is once you get it covered, they can step anywhere around here and nothing will move until they hit that pan. And then you get them. Trapper cap is a handy tool. A lot of people. I've got to where I can just about do without one, but you can put this over and it kind of protects your hands in case you do have a trap go off on you. Plus you feel more comfortable getting inside the jaws and packing the dirt down. Definitely don't want to be dripping sweat all over your set, so pay attention. You notice I've got on rubber boots. I use hip boots. That way if I'm trapping where it's wet and water, I can just walk right into the water if I want to. It keeps all my odors down when I'm making these sets. Okay, get inside, pack a little on one side in the front, then a little on the other side. You don't want to shove your cap over and make it go off, so balance out your packing. Pack it down pretty good. Don't want to push down on your jaw, on your dog back here. Pack all around it and inside, but don't push down on it because it'll make your trap fire a lot of times. Okay, we're getting there. Solid, nothing's moving. Animal can step anywhere they want to. Nothing's moving. I really don't have enough dirt right there. See what I can come up with here. Get a little bit more in there. I don't want that animal to be able to feel those jaws. If they feel the jaws, they're gone. Or they'll dig it up, which is just as bad. Pack. Okay, let's see what we've got here. You have to kind of work the cap off sometimes. It'll pull your dirt back. And then I like to shove the ridge back down on it, level it off a little. I'm going to put my dirt on the pan. It's still a little light. Okay. And I really like to have a little, like a print over the top of the pan, and that packs the dirt too, I'm sure, which helps a whole lot. Don't want any ridge around here. I try to bang everything down good. And then it's always even better if you can use some of your surrounding stuff to chaff, to kind of cover your trap. Be careful and don't throw any rocks in there. If it gets between the jaws, it'll hold them open enough that nothing will get caught. Alright. That's pretty close. Get up and make sure it's looking good. I like to throw my dirt off to the side pretty good ways, just because you can leave that set just exactly like that, and just the fact that something's been digging around there will attract them. But if you're around where there's people, where you've got something that's a little bit spooked, you can go in and pretty much make it invisible. Alright, now it's time to lure it up. I always wear clean gloves, clean cotton gloves usually when I'm setting, and I don't touch any of my equipment barehanded. I go with these gloves when I start baiting, so I don't transfer odors onto my hands or my other gloves, either one. I usually use some sort of something to put the lure on. In this case, it looks like some coyote fur. I prefer rabbit, but you use what you got. I'm using a commercial lure here. And I try not to get any lure at all where the trap is, because if you drop even a drop there, then they're going to start digging and they're going to hit your trap. And you can see it runs off pretty bad if you don't watch it, and you end up with lure right in the middle of your trap, and they will dig it up. And I am going to use a little bit of a commercial bait also. Just give them something extra to dig for. Pretty good chunk there. That'll hold them in there for a while now. Then I use generally red fox urine. I'll just kind of squirt a little around in the background, maybe a little off to the road. You know how dogs like to hike their leg, coyotes the same way. And there's your set. When you get a set packed in like that, a lot of times it'll take a 6-inch rain and you'll still catch stuff. It may wash the covering off the trap pan. If it does, you can just come through and put a little covering on the top of it.